So let's talk about something we're all fighting every single day, a war for our own attention. It's not fought on some distant battlefield. It's happening inside our own heads. We're going to dive into this through the story of a high school student named Rev, and I'm telling you, his story is probably going to feel pretty familiar.
All right, so picture this. Does this scene ring any bells? It's late at night, a deadline is breathing down your neck. For our main character, Rev, he's supposed to be studying for a midterm. But when his dad walks in, what does he see? Rev isn't just playing a video game. No, he's playing a game while watching a live stream of someone else playing that exact same game. I mean, if that's not a perfect snapshot of our distracted age, I don't know what is.
In that scene right there, that is what this is all about. This isn't just some simple story about a kid putting off his homework. No, this is way bigger. It's about that fundamental battle, right? That fight between real, deep focus and, well, the endless, alluring pull of all that digital noise.
And this is where Rev's dad just hits the nail on the head. He says, look, you're not stressed because the history midterm is hard. You're stressed because you just blew 4 hours chasing these little dopamine hits. It's not the work that's killing you, it's the constant distraction from the work. That endless loop, it's just exhausting.
So, what happens next? The ultimatum. Dad lays down the law. Give me the phone, give me the power cord, and just like that, it's a total forced disconnect. Suddenly, all those easy escape hatches are gone, and Rev is left to face the work, and maybe more importantly, to face his own mind. But why is this so incredibly hard for all of us? Let's break down the actual anatomy of distraction here. Because, this isn't just about being lazy or lacking willpower. Oh no. There are some really powerful systems at work here, and they're designed with one single goal in mind: to grab your attention and never let go. Okay, so at the very core of this whole thing is something called the dopamine loop. Think of it like this. Your brain is basically programmed to do two things: chase pleasure and run away from anything that feels like hard work, or what we'll call friction. Studying? That's a lot of friction. But a notification, a quick video, that's a super easy, fast hit of pleasure, of dopamine. And the more you feed that loop, the more your brain starts to hate the feeling of doing actual, meaningful work.
And this is where the real cost comes in. I mean, Rev's dad puts it so perfectly. He says, you think you're chilling out, but you're not. You're actually working for them. You're handing over your most precious asset, your time, your focus, your future, to these massive companies. And for what? What's the payment? A couple of likes? It's a really bad deal when you think about it.
So that's the fundamental trade-off, isn't it? The illusion versus the cost. On one side, you get this feeling of being connected, of being in the loop, that deep-seated fear of missing out. But what's the actual price you're paying? Well, it's your ability to learn deeply. It's your sleep. And maybe most importantly, it's your own peace of mind.
Okay, so enough about the problem, right? How in the world do we start to fight back? This is where our story takes a really interesting turn. It's all about completely reframing the idea of discipline. Forget thinking of it as some kind of punishment. Instead, think of it as a workout for your mind.
And I absolutely love this way of looking at it. Your ability to focus, it isn't some fixed trait you're just born with. It's a muscle, seriously. And like any muscle, the only way to make it stronger is to work it out. Every single time your mind wanders off and you gently pull it back to what you're doing, that's one rep. You're literally building strength. So after Rev bombs his test, his teacher gives him this amazing new framework. He talks about building your inner government. The core idea is that you have to start seeing your attention as this incredibly valuable, almost sacred thing. And you have to realize that every lazy habit you give into today, well, that's a seed you're planting for the person you'll become tomorrow. The goal is to build what he calls a mystic fortress to protect that sacred resource. Right, I know what you're thinking. Build a mystic fortress? Sounds great, but where do you even start? Especially if you feel like your attention span is already a pile of rubble. Well, don't worry. The story gives us a super concrete, practical first step. And the teacher's advice here is so critical. He says you can't try to fight the entire ocean all at once. The people who design these distracting apps and games, he calls them the tempters, they've actually planned for you to fail. They know that if you try to go cold turkey on everything, you'll just get overwhelmed and come crawling right back. So instead, he gives Rev a really simple task, just one. He calls it laying the first stone. And here it is. Put your phone in another room. Sit down in total silence for just 30 minutes. And just watch your mind go crazy. The point isn't to silence your thoughts. It's just to notice them without having to react to every single one. And if you've ever tried this, you know it's like a little war inside your own head.
The first 5 minutes, pure anxiety, total FOMO. What am I missing? Then this twitchy physical boredom kicks in. You just want to do something. But, and this is the magic part, if you can just push through it, around the 15-minute mark, the static starts to die down. And for the first time in maybe a long time, you can actually hear a quieter, deeper voice inside.
So, okay, practicing this alone is one thing. That's boot camp. But the real test, the final exam, that's when you have to defend that little fortress you're building out in the real world, under the intense pressure of your social circle.
And we see this play out perfectly at a party. Rev's friend, Diesel, is like, dude, if you're not keeping up online, you're a ghost by Monday. You know, it's social death. But Rev, because he's been training this muscle, looks around the room and sees something totally different. He sees a bunch of people who are physically there, but mentally, they're a million miles away, just trapped in their own little digital world.
So when Diesel pressures him, come on man, just hop on for 5 minutes, Rev understands that this isn't a small thing. It's not just about a game, it's a test. Giving in now would be like handing the keys to that fortress he just started building right back to the enemy.
And this brings us to the real reward. And spoiler alert, it's not about getting a better grade on a test. The actual payoff for all this hard work, for winning back your own mind, is something so much bigger, so much more human.
It's this incredibly powerful moment at the party. Everyone's glued to their screens, but Rev notices his friend Abby is missing. He finds her in the pantry having a complete meltdown, a panic attack over some social media nonsense, and he's the only one who sees her. Why? Because he's the only one who's actually present. His attention isn't scattered a million ways, it's right there so he can actually see a friend in need.
And what he tells her is really the key takeaway of this whole thing. He says, look, this isn't about me being better than anyone else. It's about self-defense. It's about realizing that if you don't discipline your own attention, you can be sure that someone else is going to grab it and use it against you, usually for their own profit.
Now, let's just rewind for a second. Remember where this whole journey began? It all kicked off with this one number, a 48%, a failing grade that, at the time, felt like the end of the world.
But here's the final lesson from his teacher. That test score, that's just a scar. It's temporary. It'll fade. But the discipline, the mental strength that Rev built because of that failure, that is a permanent structure. That's the foundation he can build the rest of his life on.
And it all comes back to this one final thought, a quote left in the classroom chalkboard that just captures the essence of this whole struggle. The war for our attention isn't just about focus or grades. It's really a war for self-mastery. And that leaves all of us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? Who is truly in charge of your mind?